All right. We're at the crossroads.
Okay. All right. Oh yeah, they broke camp, didn't they? Okay, glad you made it.
Hey.
All right, so listen to this very carefully. But I will not be doing a lesson on multiple wives. However, I will be talking about what it says in this week's Parsha. Right? Keep that in mind. So, the bottom part, this Parsha will be a challenge. I pray it does not cause a stumbling block. Again, it is part of this week's Parsha concerning multiple wives. Okay? So, is everyone okay?
I'm
right?
okay.
All right. We're going to find out in just a minute.
I'm just speaking for me, though. I can't speak for everybody.
Okay.
Speak for everybody.
All right. So, all these things, let's keep this in mind. All right. Hearts, a mind, repentance, love, being a light, belief. Everyone's good with all this, right? All right. I don't want to hear no issues. None. All right, so here's some of the things that we're going to talk about and some things that are going to create questions in your mind. So, one loved, one hated. What happened? Oh yeah, one loved, one hated. We'll talk about understanding the 10 Debariym. There's a little quiz on this. I'm surprised anyone left for this quiz. Okay. What is the importance of being a mother?
Oh.
Okay.
So it definitely got to be in here.
So that's why I said I don't know what the leaving for. Oh, we can do food later.
We got
Okay. And then we got no diverse seed. Right. Everyone understands no diverse seed, right? All the mixing of the seeds and stuff. We're not going to be. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then sexual immorality, women from war, and mixed garments. Okay? So all of these things we got to talk about. Does anyone have any questions about what's up here so far? No? Well, with the brothers, they normally don't have no. Yeah, no, we're just going to walk this thing out. All right, so we will be able to eat what? The whole book. That's the objective. We're gonna eat this whole book. Okay. So, and are we ready for war? So again, the Parsha keep to say literally means it's talking about being ready for war. That's the whole point of this Parsha. We're gonna see what that means in just a minute. All right. All right. So keep to say is our Parsha reading. In the English first. Let me get my my pen here. So in the English, it says, when you go out, right? That's the word keep to say. When you go out to war against your enemy, and Yahuah Elohim gives them into your hands, and you take them captive. Okay? So we'll read in the Hebrew here. I guess I'll read it in the Hebrew here. Keep to say. La milchama al oibecha. Okay. When you go out to war against your enemy. Okay. That is Untna Yahuah Elohecha beyadecha. Okay. And Yahuah Elohim gives them unto your hands. And lastly, it's Weshabika, Abita, Slika, and this last part here is Chibyo, which is where we at right here. And you should take them captive. Okay. All right. So again, each one is going to have a meaning behind what we're going to be talking about. Okay. Everyone's going to have a meaning behind what we talk about. So this right here just says Parsha key to say. Yeah. All right. So any questions here so far?
Where's the word and at?
So all these means and. Okay. All right. All right. Seeing a woman among the captives. Okay. So We're not going through that in this area more so than it was back then, right? So I don't want you guys to go make war with another nation and just take them captive. That's not what this is about. I'm just reading because it's a part of the Parsha, all right? So it says, see among the captives a beautiful woman and have a desire unto her that you would have her to your wife or be your woman. Then you shall bring her home to your house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in your house and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that, you shall go in unto her and be her husband, and she shall be your Isha, your wife, or your woman. Okay? Then it says, and it shall be, if you have no delight in her, then you shall let her go whither she will, but you shall not sell her at all for money. You shall not make merchandise of her because you have humbled her. Question is, what does it mean? Well, have no delight. I just want to get rid of her. Is that what that means? I see her, I liked her in captivity. I took her out of captivity, let her mourn for her family. After that, I went into her, humbled her, said, I don't like you, have a good day. What does this mean?
You humble, what does it mean to humble her?
Well, no, we know what humble is. I'm saying, why is it, when you says delight in her, then you have, when you don't have no more delight in her, right? You have no delight, and you shall not sell her for money, but let her go. What does that mean? So are we saying
that you just basically used her, that was just basically for lust, and you decide that, well, the man decided that he didn't want her anymore, so it's like, okay, well, you can just go your way.
Right. So I'm saying, is that what this means? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So absolutely not. What this means is, if you find a woman that's in captivity, when you went out to war, you saw one you like, you bring her to her house, she mourns. If she does not want to do the culture, if she does not want to follow, after you done humbled her and you're teaching her, then you let her go. Not just because, I just wanted to use her, and now that I finished using you, have a good day. Let me kick you out of the house, and I can't sell you, so I'll just let you go because I humbled you.
So she doesn't want to follow the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahuah. Even though you're trying to teach her these things, she still rejects them for her Elohim and for her.
Right. In other words, you got a woman that's in captivity. The only reason why she's coming to your house is you forced her to come into your house. And then once she's been forced to come into your house, you're asking her for 30 days to mourn her loss of her family. After 30 days, then you're like, okay, now it's time for me to go and you make you my Isha, if you will. But what happened to the part where she still has to keep laws, statutes, commandments? Suppose she don't want to do none of that. So she becomes a disruption in the home.
So she likes being with you.
Well, this one's from war.
No, she don't like being with you.
Right. In other words, yeah, right. So in other words, she's mourning. She's a cap. I want you guys to picture back in the day. You're going to war. You see this woman on the balcony with this long flowing hair, big or small. I don't know what everyone's preference is. Okay. And then, you see her, you say, oh my gosh, that is the one right there. I want her. Then you bring her back to the house. She shaves. Now she's bald head. And she got to shave her head, right? She's mourning. Part her nails and everything like that. And after she's done, she's supposed to look at you and say, oh, you're just the finest thing smoking for me. Think about it. Is that what she's thinking?
No.
Then after that,
really.
You want to go into her. Only she could be scared because they won and X, Y, and Z, so she's in your home. But at some point, you humble her, you try to show her the ways. And I don't want to do that. Right. That's not me. I'm not of your nation. Right. So then at this point, you're saying that you have no delight in her, because the delight should be something, if she's keeping the law, statutes, commandments, you should be delighting in what you desire. Okay? Is everyone with me so far?
Okay. So you like her, but because she doesn't accept your culture, there's no, just keep
there's
chaos
nothing
in
you
your
can
house.
do. Right. I'm gonna still have that Baal idol, that teraphim, whatever they want.
Strange woman.
Yeah.
Right. Do not go. So find out all that first before you go into her.
No, this is a war.
No, it's after the war.
Right, but I'm saying after the war, you don't find none of that out. You just snatching her, taking her to your house.
No, when after the war, she comes to your house, you find out if she likes your culture or not.
How would you know?
I don't know.
You only got 30 days for her to mourn. You gonna tell her within her mourning? I know you miss your father. My father told me to kill your father. No, you don't have. This is not the time. But after those 30 days, you might say, okay, enough is enough, right? And then after that, you might say, well, wait a minute. You know, are you saying I have an option? I have a choice? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And you know, you start causing this disruption in the home.
So you're not forcing her.
No, see, it says right there, you can let her go. You should not make merchandise of her, but you have humbled her.
You forced her to come to your home, but you're not forcing her to follow the way.
Yeah. You could be like today. You might have a 9mm, put at her temples. You want to die? You want to come with me? I'm coming with you. See? She didn't feel forced at all, did she?
What does the word humble mean?
What the word humble means he had intercourse. He humbled her.
Okay. So he was okay.
Yeah. Now don't be talking about humbling. And yeah, I know he thinking. All right. We trying to keep this as G as we can get this. All right. All right. So note, this parsha is about battles and wars. Take note that these battles are not just where they went to conquer land or lands, but battles in your house or home. So I want us to elevate this a little bit to understanding what they went out, but with the battles and wars that you could be going through in your own home, right? Spiritually and physically. As we go through this lesson, think about each situation as a war or battle that is being waged in or around you. And be objective, right? Any questions so far? All right? No? All right, we'll keep going. All right. One loved, one hated. If a man has two wives, one loved or beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, then it shall be when he makes his sons to inherit that which he has, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn by giving him a double portion of all that he has, for he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his. Okay? So, everyone sees this, right? All right, keep that in mind. Question is, why would one be hated? Why would one be hated? No one knows why one would be hated. This is what you need sisters for now, huh?
Maybe one is not following the law, statutes, commandments. I don't know. To the man's rules, I guess.
Okay. Are you talking about like today?
How much time?
Okay, so at this time here, if he has two wives, one loved and one, mind you, they're in their culture. Right? All right, so these women here, one is loved, one is hated. Could be a Jacob situation, but the question was, why would one be hated?
She dishonored her husband.
Yeah, dishonor.
There you go.
Okay, she could dishonor her husband.
Mhm.
Okay.
She was,
Dishonored him some kind of way,
that's a mess.
or deceived him, or caused him some embarrassment.
Okay.
You know, on a regular basis, not just every now and then, but on a regular basis. She's a boisterous, cantankerous,
Mhm.
argumentative, bossy, you know,
Mhm.
always, you know, trying to impose her will upon him,
Mhm.
you know, but she's trying to keep the law, statutes, and commandments.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so-
Okay,
That's all I was saying.
I got you. So what we're looking at is one is love, one is hated. Mind you, he has two. Did he get did he want to get the second one because the first one acted that way? Was that the reason why he got the second two wives? Or does he even apply that? Or we just assuming these things? Or what's going on here? Right? So I said, there's a whole lesson that's in this by itself. We're not going to tackle all of those issues. All I'm simply sharing here, because it's really dealing with the child of the hated versus the love, right? Is everyone in agreement to that? All right. Here's a definition for the word hate. Saneh. Saneh, to hate. She becomes like an enemy in the home. She becomes a foe in the home. She becomes hateful. Okay? And so I put on here in my notes here, there are levels of hate. Okay? So this is what I want you to see. When she starts attacking you, you start losing that love that you had before. Okay, that doesn't mean you go out and find another one that you'll love and try to replace. That's not what this is about. Okay? All right, so the reason for talking about the two wives was to talk about the inheritance of the firstborn. If he hates the first wife and she born to my son, he cannot transfer the inheritance to the son of the second wife. All right. The main question I have is why call her a what? Sanua in the Hebrew. Sanua. That's the word for hated. Sanua. Keep that in mind. There is only one other time in the whole Torah that this word is used concerning a woman. Could this be an accident? Okay, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Here are some other definitions. All right. See what it says? Enemies. She become enemies. She can be unloved. Okay, unloved. Those who hate, those who foes, adversaries, dislikes. So these are other definitions of this same word for Saneh. Okay? Now, typically it is not because he has another wife. Okay, but again, we'll talk about it in another way in the future. It's not because of that. This is something different. And we're going to see whose story? Jacob, Jacob, right? So you're going to see a pattern is what I want you to pick up as we go into that. All right, so I said one loved, one hated. So here it is in Shemot, or Bereshit, chapter 29, or Genesis 29:31 says, and when Yahuah saw that Leah was hated, Snoah, you see it, right? He opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, surely Yahuah has looked upon my affliction. Now, therefore, my husband will love me. Okay? And she conceived again and bare a son and said, because Yahuah has heard that I was hated, Noah, he has therefore given me this son also, and she called his name Shimon, or as it called Simeon, right? All right, so she feels as though she was hated, and we're going to look at this. Is this the type of hate that we're talking about today? We'll see in a minute. So although he wishes her no ill, his hatred manifests itself in coolness or emotional distancing. Okay? That's the unlove, the dislike part of it. Okay? Sirach advises us not to trust ourselves to one whom we hate. Sirach 7:26 says, do you have a wife who is a soulmate? Don't divorce her. And do not trust yourself to a woman whom you hate. All right? So, we can see that Leah was unloved, not hated in the sense we define hate today. Okay? He continued to have intercourse with her. She wanted her husband to see her also as a favorite also, right? So it's not a hate like, oh, I despise you, I can't stand you. There's a dislike because in his situation, he really only wanted Rachel. He didn't want Leah, but he got Leah in the deception, if you will. So he still worked another 7 years and got Rachel, right? But my point is, he still went into her and X, Y, and Z, but the distancing was there because that's not who he really wanted initially. Everyone with me so far? So we're going to see that this story is going to help us understand this Parsha. All right. So we see that word Yahuah, right? That's the first word. Y'all see that? All right. Keep that in mind. So Leah was Yaakov Jacob's first wife. Her firstborn was Reuben or Reuven, depends who wants to use their grammar. And that was the one that was hated. Okay. Rachel was Yaakov's second Isha. Her firstborn was Yosef, and that was the one that was love. So does the implications line up as well, which we'll see in a minute. He was to love Reuben and treat him as the firstborn. But think about how he treated him and compare that to how he felt about Yosef. If you remember the story, they really, really loved, Yaakov really loved Yosef. That's the firstborn of the one that he loved. See that? All right. Oh, yeah. So in verse 17, we read, he shall acknowledge, Yakir in the Hebrew, the son. So the question is, why not just say you shall give him a double portion, as we read? If you look down here, it says, but he shall acknowledge the son of the hated. I'm at the bottom right. It says, for the first one, by giving him a double portion of all that he has, for he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his. But why does he have to Yakir the son? It's the first question. Okay. Why acknowledge? Next, it says, all that he has. Okay. Ye matzeh. Now, think about it. When it says found to him, or it's realistically translated found to him. Lastly, it says, for he is the beginning of his strength. Kihu Rashid Ono, right? Why not just say give him the double portion because he's your firstborn? Why do you have to go through this extra stuff, right? So you got to acknowledge, right? You have to not only acknowledge, what else you have to do? Okay, show all that he has, and then know that this is what the beginning of his strength, right? All right, so the four phrases will be important in this lesson we'll go from the far right here. It says, Kihu Rashit Ono, which is one we just read about his strength. Next one we have is Yimatzah, and then you got Yachir, and then you got Snoah. These is one more word, which we'll talk about. So talk about the double portion. I was going to give you the extra one, which shows you a whole lineup between Jacob's wives and Leah and how their sons felt with this. So you remember what I say the original portion was about? The firstborn sons, right? So keep that in mind. All right, so 49, what says, and Reuben or Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, right? So you see that Rashid Oni, it says the excellence of dignity and the excellence of power. So you see this here matches with this here, firstborn and firstborn. So now we got two that goes together. You got Snoah, right? We got the hated. His mother was hated, but we also see that Reuben is supposed to be his strength. Okay, so everyone sees that parallel. All right. Now let's go over here to chapter 37, verse 29. It says, and Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit and rented his clothes. Now, who went? The firstborn, right? All right. And they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood. Now listen to what he says. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, this have we found. Now listen to what he asked him. The word zot means this, okay? And then matzanu means what? We found. Okay, the new here means we found. So it says, and then he says what? Now know, or hakerna, which is like recognize, please recognize, whether it be your son's coat or no. Okay, and then again, if you look at our Parsha this week, acknowledge and do what? see all that he has. Now they're asking him a question. Now we're going to see what this means in the comparison in just a minute. All right, but is everyone good so far? No questions. Okay, great. All right, so Debariym Aleph, or First Chronicles 5:1. We know there says, now the sons of Reuben are Reuben, the firstborn of Yisrael or Israel, for he was the firstborn. But for as much as he defiled his father's bed, his birthright was given unto his son Joseph, the son of Israel, and the genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright. So we can see that the firstborn rights can be removed because of one's action. Okay, you can see that. Same thing happened with the Levites and the firstborn, right? Things could happen. All right, so based off of this week's parsha, we can see in the Joseph story that stands out concerning the two phrases used in this verse, and is here all that he has or found into him, his estate or his inheritance. He shall acknowledge, yakir, recognize, and we know that that's what he had to do with the sons. Everyone remember that? Okay, great. So here we go. The brothers were telling their father to look at your estate coat. Remember, they put the blood on the coat. Look at your estate. Is this all of your estate? Father, look, is this it? The brothers are pretty hot. They want you to see that this is not it, right? Then he says, they knew he loved him more than all the brothers, all the other sons. The sons that was not being loved was because of the hatred he had towards his mother, right? So all the sons were not being treated right, but Joseph had a special treatment, right? Because of the mother, right? So the younger son was loved because he loved his mother. All right. So of course, Joseph names means what? Joseph name literally means, okay, to add, right? All right. So his name means to add or add upon. What does a firstborn get? A double portion, as we can see here, right? So Joseph's coat, did he have two coats? Did he give his son a double portion? That technically should have been to Reuben before he defiled his father's bed, if you will. But there was a love that was shown before, which became a problem. So the Torah is now sharing that this cannot be. This is not good. All right. Wearing what pertains to a man or a woman. All right, so I want you guys to look at this here. 22:5 says, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto Yahuah your Elohim. Now, what do you all see how the garments that they're wearing? All these tunics, everyone agrees? Oh my goodness, they had head coverings? No, I'm just messing. But anyway, everyone sees here that, right. But specifically, I want you to take a look at this here. Everyone's good with this, right? All right. Let's look at another one. Okay. You guys can agree, right? Same thing, long tunics and things like that, right? And you can find these in Israel in the museum on the wall when the Syrians took the Hebrews captive. They got a whole picture of this here on the wall as to who Israel is. All right. Does it look different from modern day? Okay, that's not today's set lesson. All right. I put on pants were not a part of the Torah, so I want to talk about that just a minute. But sisters, they'll say back in the day, this is how things would look for a sister, for a brother, something like this here. If he's in the field, that's what that is. He ain't walking around up in Walmart like that. Okay, all right. Well, you know, him upstairs. All right, so I want you to see these things, right? Everyone understands that they wore these types of garments back in the day. They weren't wearing pants, right? Pants was not, because a lot of the argument is, should women wear pants? It's a man thing, right? The men didn't wear pants when this scripture was written. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? So if the men didn't wear that, it's a man thing. I'm saying that's not how that works. Both of them had long tunics. One was for a woman, one was for a man. When the Gentiles came up with some pants, they wound up having pants for men and pants for women later. Now I see some men now wearing apple bottom jeans. You got to talk to them later, but I'm saying beforehand they wouldn't wear apple bottom jeans or things like that, right? All right. So just keep that in mind. So I put on here, the point I want to drive home here is the pants were not something men or women wore. Of course, we should wear modest apparel. Okay, so again, if I see a woman, I can't say, oh, Torah says you can't wear pants. But if you wear these things super tight and I can see your heartbeat through your pants, there's a problem, right? I see the main vein pumping. There's a problem there. Get a long tunic to cover yourself. All right, hope we're good with that. All right, the mother and the child. All right, so Debariym 22:6 says, if a bird's nest chance to be before you in the way in any tree or on the ground, whether they be young ones or eggs, and the mother, and the King James says dam, I'm going to leave it as ha'im or as mother there, sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, you shall not take the mother with the young. Now, I put on here, this is the Hebrew for it, lo tikach ha'im al ha'banim. Now, I highlight this for a reason. I'll tell you why I highlight this in just a minute. But this here is being translated in the King James as this, but that's not a really good translation. Technically, it's saying on or upon the mother, if you will, or the children. So if they really wanted to say it the way it's being translated, it could be like this. Okay, loti kak habani, and then it's bepani ha'im, which means in front of her face or upon her face, right?
She's sitting on the eggs. You know, just stick your hand underneath and take the eggs.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Let it go out, show away things.
Right. And you see the word banim here. The reason why I highlight this only because a lot of times when you see this, this is a way you can say the sons, right? But they'll say, see, this is not talking about women or young girls or things like that, but that's not true. What this means is if men or young boys or men and women are together, it has to stay masculine. That's why it's banim. If it's all women, then sure, but no, you'll have it in the feminine form. If it's all men, it's going to be masculine, but if it's men and women, it's going to stay masculine. Okay? All right, 22 verse 7 says, but you shall in any wise let the mother go and take young to you that it may be well with you. And then it says, and that you may prolong your days. Why would that prolong your days? That's what I don't understand.
You take that woman, you take that mother's young in front of her face, not attack you.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what type of bird it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Or you fall off the cliff off the tree.
let's suppose it don't. The Torah says it prolong your days.
Bird attacks you.
Right. But it just says, it says that be well with you. Right?
If you don't do that.
Right. And that you may prolong your days. Is there a connection? I mean, because if you get a little bird, he can peep all he wants. I mean, I don't care about that. Or they might say, I'm taking the mother and the kids together. Now what? That wouldn't. How would that prolong your days? Okay. Proverbs 1:8. My son, hear the instructions, musar, the chastisement or reproof is what it says in Hebrew. And we know that Yahuah chastises who he loves. He's the male, the father, right? Of your father, and forsake not the Torah, the instructions of your mother. Why is it called Torah? It's called mother here in this Mishnah of Proverbs. Anyone? Yeah. Why is it says forsake not the law, the Torah, instructions of your mother? Why does it say this? Okay, we'll keep going. 6:20 says, my son, keep your father's commandments, the mitzvot, right? And forsake not the Torah of your mother. You got another thing, says it the same thing again. All right, keep that in mind. Is everyone with me so far? We'll answer in just a minute. Unless you guys got the answer now, just throw it out there. I'm ready. Okay, all right, we'll keep going. All right, so real quick, Debariym 5:16 says, honor your father and your mother as Yahuah Elohim has commanded you, that your days may be prolonged and that it may go well with you in the land which Yahuah Elohim gives you. This is why we become, I'll tell you what I mean by this in just a minute. So everyone sees what is happening here. There's going to be a parallel between the understanding of children and what a mother does and what a father does as well. He gives the chastisement, he gives the reproof, things like that. But you're going to see what the mother does in just a minute. I put, this is why we become fathers and mothers figure to single family homes. So in other words, in a community, if someone is single, well, let me back up. So in the time of, I say slavery, or in ancient times, what happened? Did when your child go out, everybody's with that person's mother or father? Is that how that went? You ever think about that? Right. They go down, they get their behind whooped from some other person, right? That love them. I'm gonna say not beating, like abuse, right? And then they probably get it again when they get home, right? So they got a double portion. What I'm saying is because that's how a community works, right? You make sure, because you're going to need father and mother to help balance what he originally set up. Is everyone with me so far? Okay, so this is what they normally, or they should do. Now I know there's, as time went, when you got to 21st century or so, don't touch my child, don't you do this. A lot of stuff started to change. Back then, it was not like that because they knew that they loved your child as much as they loved you. That's how it should be. I guess I'll say it that way. So how hard is it to catch a bird? If you outside, you ain't got no net. I'm saying with your hands. How hard is it to catch a bird? Huh? Pretty hard.
Nearly impossible.
But you can catch a cow, huh? Okay, but you can't catch that bird that's flying all over the place, right? It's kind of hard to do, right? Keep this in mind, because there is a parallel between the function of a bird and his commandments and his laws. For example, what would be the only time it would be easy to catch a bird, specifically a mother bird? When she has the young. She's on there. She's not going nowhere. Understand? You can shoot all you want. That's the time you can actually catch the bird. All right, keep that in mind. So, when protecting the children, she hovers over her children. The Torah knows that this would be the only easy way to catch a mother bird. Same principle when people mess with your children, right? Same with the children of Yahuah. Spirit beings cannot do anything to Yahuah. However, but can do something to his children, right? He can. So, there's not one being on this planet that can do anything to the Father. Everyone should agree to that, right? However, it will come after its children. When you come after its children, there's a wrath that comes place later on. There's a lot of stuff that takes place. Okay? And I put on, he carries us on eagle's wings. You get everyone familiar with that story. All right. So the mother would die protecting their children, normally. She would be upon or on the children to the point of death. Okay, meaning the bird and stuff like that. Today, even if the children do not live up to the standard or standards they hope they could achieve, the mother, father as well, will still do just about anything for them. Okay, she is the one that normally nurses and nurtures the children. Okay, they're the ones, they get this thing. So I put, what can hurt a mother is when she gives and gives, and the children takes but shows no honor to the parent. Okay, so it becomes something very hurtful to the mother. Okay, Torah is a feminine word. Is everyone in agreement? It's in a feminine. If you can just look it up, it's a feminine word. The Torah should be a fountain of living water, right? Can you see this in the makeup of a woman? Can her body produce water and cause a seed to grow? Is that true? Okay. So I put Yahuah has placed his ways in the man and in the makeup of the woman. I'm not going to go into the makeup of how that works, just to simply share that there is a parallel between the two. You got to figure out why did he put these parallels, if you will, inside these Torah portions. All right, but because we had so many slides, I didn't want to take up too much time. 10 words. I would like to try a test. Here's the test for everybody. Okay, I would like to try a test with you all concerning 10 words, or commonly called the 10 Commandments. We have taught that just about all the laws are summed up in the 10 Commandments. The parameters to which we'll be using is from chapters 11 through 26. There are a lot of commands in these chapters, but they can be summed up in the 10 words. Moshe and Moses wanted to go into detail concerning the 10 words. The commandments have Torah instructions to them. The reason for him going into great detail is to help us see what the blessings and the curses are all about, which we'll talk about in 2 weeks. Violation will bring the curse. Adherence will bring the blessing. Now, remember we talked before that commandments have Torah, right? Sometimes we make it interchangeable, right? But for those that are not, they don't know how to do that, just understand there's commandments and there's instructions, right? All right, everyone's ready for this test. All right, so to the left, you see the 10 words. I abbreviated it because I couldn't put it all on one thing. So it took me a lot just to get this a little bit here, right? So on the left, if you want, on the top, you see Anoki Yahuah, which is I am Yahuah. And then underneath it says no other mighty ones, right? Lo acharim Elohim, and then so on. So each one has the English and the Hebrew equivalent as you go down to the left. All commandments and instructions can be summed up in the 10 words. So I want to play a little game here and see which one that is, okay? It's a little bit different than Fused, but we'll see what we can do. It says, number 1, do not move the boundary markers of your neighbor. What law would that fall under?
Love thy neighbor.
You would not steal or no covenant.
See what now?
You would not steal or no covenant.
You're not steal or you say what?
Love thy neighbor.
Love thy neighbor.
Covenant.
You say what? No.
I was saying covenant, Moreh.
No coveting. Okay. Oh, let me get out of this thing here. All right. Okay, you will not steal. Look to know, right? You will not steal. Why is that stealing? You're moving the boundary marker so that you can have something. Hey, you know, I really like that little area my neighbor has. Let me take that from him. They've been with me so far. Okay. Mm-hmm. One witness cannot witness against a man. Out of 2 or 3 witnesses it shall be. What out of these 10 would it fall under?
Do not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Okay. You should not bear false witness against your neighbor. Good. How about set 3 cities for a refuge for every murder shall flee?
Thou shalt not murder.
Thou shalt
You will
murder.
not murder.
You will not murder. There to Tzach. All right. How are we doing so far? I want to see how this works. All right. So I put on here the law says do not murder. However, Yahuah gives a law for the murderer. Why? Because Yahuah is showing there are types of murderers. We cannot say he killed him. That falls under a different category in Hebrew. One type of murderer is safe to make it to the city. It is murder, but he didn't do this purposely. Okay? All right. Let's go to the next one. All right, so break their altars and destroy their monuments. Huh? No giving them.
Thou shalt not have no other mighty ones before me.
Okay. No other mighty ones. All right. Stubborn and rebellious son. We're going to read about that in a minute. Also, mother bird and her children beneath. Great. Honor their father and their mother. When you build a house, put a fence around your roof. Huh?
No covenant.
I can't hear you.
No coveting.
No coveting? Okay. Everyone agrees? All right. You'll not murder. The point of putting the boundary so you can prevent the death. Okay? All right. We'll keep going here. We got a lot of ground to cover. All right. So 6-year work in the hand and the last 7th year rest. Hebrew servants will be released on the 7th year. Which one is that one?
Remember the Shabbat.
Yes. All right. Remember the Shabbat. Zakor et Yom HaShabbat. Okay. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both, Yeah, y'all said-
Adultery.
Oh, they want to know this one, huh? Okay, no problem. All right, got it. No worries. Looking off. All right, so, and it says, a servant shall dwell with you, your gates, you shall not oppress him. Huh?
You will not steal.
You not steal? Anyone else? Huh? Okay.
Love that neighbor.
No coveting. Okay. You do listen. If you do not covet, you will love your neighbor. Okay. When you shall vow a vow unto Yahuah your Elohim, you shall not slack to pay it.
I said he ain't there.
I take his name in vain. Okay. Great. When a man finds an uncleanness in his wife, we'll read about what this means in a minute. He will write her a bill of divorcement. Okay.
Adultery.
Take heed in the plague of leprosy that you observe diligently, and the Levites shall teach you as I commanded. All right, going once.
Is that no graven images? I'm not sure about that one.
Okay, let me see.
That sounds like I am Yahuah.
Whoa! Yeah, that's on y'all time. My point is from chapter 11 to 26. There's a bunch of commands and instructions, and they all can be summed up in the 10 Debariym. You know, so the challenge would be to see if you guys can sum them all up in those 10, because then you'll start to appreciate why the Mashiach and the Brit Hadashah, why they're summing them up in these 2 areas, right? So that would be the whole point of this here. All right, and then in about 2 weeks, even if I'm in the land, I'll still do a portion so you guys can see it come out in another way. All right.
Hey, Moreh, isn't the plague of leprosy, isn't that like bitterness and all that kind of stuff that we discussed last week?
That's part of it.
Sorta.
Could be. Let me know. Midweek study sounds like. All right. I got some more questions at the end too. That's why I'm using this particular template. Anyway, Debariym 21:18. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him and bring him out unto the elders of his city and unto the gates of his place. And they shall say unto the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones, that he die. So shall you put evil away from among you, and all Yisrael shall hear and fear. So before I ask my questions, could you imagine you then chasing your child as much as you could, and at some point they just don't get it? Then they start to walk out of service and they say, I can't get, oh my bad, I'm sorry. All right. And what winds up happening is you got to take the child out in front of everybody, and they're all going to put some bricks in his head. That's a rough thing to see. And it's and what is it for? To do what? To put away evil. And shall fear. That's rough. Okay? All right. Oh, yeah. We'll go to, so remember battle and war. So this is what I'm saying. Remember, the whole Parsha is about battle and war. You're having war. They're talking about war out there, but you also can have war in your home. You also have not only war in your home, you can have war inside of you. Okay, levels of war. All right. Etymology for the word glutton. Oh, so before I do that, see, what is the definition of glutton?
English word?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Eat all day.
That's what it is.
Excessive.
Greedy. You don't have any.
Greedy.
Greedy, huh? Okay. All right. Keep that in mind. All right. So etymology for the word glutton is zalal and dalal in the language. So without me really going over a bunch of history behind the word, I put the etymology up there for you guys to see. They give you certain definitions that I want you to take note of: trouble, toil, misery, worthless. Then it says, of course, in Akkadian, earliest occurrence of the root as Dulum goes back into the old Akkadian period. Here it means trouble. Old Babylonian or Assyrian, the root takes on the concrete meaning of work hard, work, which a person takes up, which he has performed. This is considered forced labor. Now, I want you to think about what this glutton is. This glutton is someone they consider worthless, right? Someone that this, for an example, you're forcing me to work. I don't want to work. I don't want to do nothing. You understand what's happening, right? I don't want to work. I don't want to do nothing. I want to drink. That's all I want to do. He becomes trouble, misery. Okay, this is who you're bringing out. So it's not just because your son or daughter made a mistake. Oh my gosh, he knocked over my dish. Get the bricks. Get the bricks. Okay, it's not like that. This is about someone that at some point you chase him so much it got that bad, and you got to take him to the elders.
Go and get a job.
Right.
Do something with your life, son. Can't live here all day, son.
See that? This lexicon gives it as someone that's going to be considered beggarly. I see he's not going to go far.
I know a lot of people that are going to
Okay, he's not going to go far. We'll go ahead and start right here.
I know a bunch of people that got the brick.
So the Hebrew Aramaic lexicon, which is this here is the law, it means to be thoughtless, rash, to be despised, treat things lightly or make things light, worthless. Okay, this person, this son got to go. So again,
Dad out there in the field working, he up in the house late.
drinking.
Drinking.
Watching art. Watching.
Talking about win dinner. Oh!
Yeah.
Whoa!
Watching the R. Kelly cartoon. Okay, anyway, we'll keep going. Robin? All right.
Oh!
All right, so
Oh.
we'll go next one. All right, so diverse. Oops, that's a handsome brother right there. Okay, so right here, diverse seed garments and plowing. So it says, you should not sow your vineyard with diverse seeds, at least the fruit of your seed which you have sown, and the fruit of your vineyard be defiled. How would it be defiled?
It has some strange looking fruits.
Right, the properties of that fruit start to change. To the father, that's defiled. An orange should be an orange. An apple should be an apple. You can't have a plum orange. Okay, you can have all the stuff that you see at some stores. They don't fuse some stuff together. You know, grape berry, all this other crazy stuff they got going on. All right, you should not plow with an ox and an ass together. Why not? Ox, think about how strong the ox is versus the donkey. Okay, right.
They pull in different directions. They don't have the same strength.
Dogs might get
They fight against
Oh yeah, at some point he'll break his neck. You should not wear a garment or diverse sorts as of woolen and linen together. Okay, woolen and linen together. You shall make you fringes, Gedalim, we'll talk about in a minute, upon the four corners of your vesture, wherewith you cover yourself. Okay, now remember in our previous Parsha, Numbers 15:38, which we normally go to talk about zizits, speak unto the children of Yashral or Israel, and bid them that they make them zizits or fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generation, and they shall put upon the fringes a border, a ribbon of blue. Now, that's what brings me to my next question here. This guy was so kind to allow me to use his pictures I know him personally. Okay. So I want to see, yeah, I even mimicked everything.
Yeah, that's a good picture of you, Moreh.
Oh, yeah. I try to cut off the top. All right. I want you to see first to the left in the red. There's you remember what the verse 15 says. So let me go back just so we can make sure we see it, how it should look. Remember, it says, bid them that they make zizis. Now, the zizis are going to be where? In the kanaf, right? In the borders of their garments throughout their generation. So where are these zizis supposed to be? On the borders. And then it says they shall put upon the zizits. What? Upon the zizits, what? On the, okay, great. So now, notice here that on the red, there's a blue and a purple. So the reason for the blue and the purple is, if you ever see how they made the dye, it will be a range between blue and purple. If you ever look it up, it's like a purplish, bluish color, depending on the oxidation and some other stuff. But we're not going to talk about that today. So my point is, but if it's supposed to be at the border, where the blue is supposed to be at the borders, then that means that's what this is. This is the border. This is the kanaf here, right? This is the border part. And this is where your ribbon goes. So if this is where to go, where are the zizis supposed to go? Zizits, zizits, zizits. See that? These are zizits. All right, same thing on this side. It's said as, here's a blue border, but it said as fringes. So now you can see how these look like fringes, right? All right, so then what are these things? What are these things? These are Gedalim, right? These are the Gedalims that most people call these zizits. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right, we'll keep going. A man hates.
What was the difference between the Gedalim and the zizits? What's the difference?
Okay, so the Gedalim are the ones that are the four corners. The zizits are the fringes that goes all the way across the border. So in other words, these are not considered Gedalim right here. These are all zizits or zizios. Right?
That's red on red.
Yeah.
Got it.
Uh-huh. All right. A man hates his wife. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, and give occasion of speech against her, and brings up an evil name upon her, and says, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a Betuli, not a virgin, right? Not a maid. It says, then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the token of the damsel virginity, the Betuli, unto the elders of the city in the gate. All right, so I just gave the Dead Sea Scrolls here because you normally use Na'ara versus Na'ar, but we'll have to talk about syntax in a future time here. But my point is, this is going to be something that he has a hate towards her, right? And this hate is a legitimate hate. Don't know yet because we ain't gotten there. You was already shaking your head. Nah, it ain't legitimate. You need to go in there with cheese. Okay. All right. Verse 16. And the damsel father shall say unto the elder, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hates her. Okay, so the father says, this is my daughter. She's a Betula, she's a virgin here, and he hates her. Verse 17 says, and lo, he has given occasion of speech against her, saying, I found not your daughter as a Betulim or as a virgin, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, the Betuli, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city, And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. Could you imagine you being the woman, your dad comes out with the sheet that you made love on, and rolls that thing up for all the elders. Boom! That's her stuff right there, elders. That's it. I told you. Yes, he did. He broke her down on this sheet. This is proof. Okay? Keep this in mind. Because we don't do that today, huh? No, it happens.
We need to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It'll stop all the lying. But the other part I want you to the other part I want you to see about this is when people start thinking about why they don't need to do things, I'm saying, Yah knows, right? Is what most people say. But the point I'm saying here is they still needed a witness.
That man was lying.
Because he lied. He said he could say anything to try to get rid of her. And the father comes up with the proof. This is the witness of what took place. Right? Once I had sex, we're married. We don't need nobody. I don't care what you say. Listen, there's always a reason for something. All right, but we're gonna skip that for right now. All right, so everyone's good with this. All right. 22:19 says, and they shall find him 100 shekels of silver and give unto the father of the damsel, because he has brought up an evil name upon the virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. Okay, so why would want to do something like that? Why would he want to do something like that? Why would he want to bring evil report against her? She is a virgin. Why? Can anyone give me a reason why he would do that?
She won't do something.
She
is refusing to do something that he wants to.
So he turns around and hates her because.
Possibility.
Okay. Anyone else?
She's rebellious.
Right, but there's a way to deal with a rebellious woman. This one here, he hates her. He wants to put her away. Could it be maybe in his mind he saw something better?
Yeah, could be, because he can't afford.
I think he's just evil, Moreh. He just evil.
He's terrible. He's awful. That's an awful man.
I can't afford 2 wives. I want another one. So how can I get with her?
Mm-hmm.
Now he can't, because he lied. He's proven that he lied. He's never been able to do it. He's never going to be able to do it. He got to give 100 still.
He really gonna be working in the field.
Yeah.
All right. So the thing is, the reason why I say this will be important in the future, if you ever want to look at this and then the laws during the time of Hillel and Shimini, where they were putting their wives away for all causes, and the Mashiach was addressing these causes. Okay, so that's why I said, could it be that because that law was also instituted during the time of the first century? All right, but if this thing be true, and the token of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones. And she die because she has wrought folly in Israel to play the whore. Where?
Her father's house.
In her father's house. So shall you put evil away from among you. Okay?
Nobody don't know.
Well, listen, when you get yourself an apartment, when you get out of your father's house, come talk to me. Because I can't do nothing in your father's house. I don't want no bricks on my head. Yeah.
No.
Well,
No.
so they wait. So when she graduate, Aki?
She's still in her father's room.
Oh, hey.
Covered.
Mm-hmm. In her father's house. I can add to it. I can't take away. You better make sure she's in the house at dark 30. Hey, where you at? I got my friend finder on. Yeah, you better check the emails. Who is this? Got a whole new name. Who's Buckwheat? Oh, it's an old friend. Yeah, right. Y'all can do a lot of talking. All right, so just understand. You're trying. That's why they got laws in place. Get them. All right. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die, both man that laid with the woman, and the woman, so shall you put away evil from Israel. Okay, so if the woman is married and the man is lying with her, bring them both. If the damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man finds her in the city and lies with her, then you shall bring them both out into the gates of that city, and you shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, she enjoyed it, being in the city. And the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife, so you shall put away. You know, some of these sisters, I don't like that word humble. Last time we did a couple years ago, I don't like the word humble. Sister, she's getting humbled. Okay, that's what it says. All right. Humble his neighbor's wife, so you shall put away evil from among you. But if a man finds a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man does what?
Force.
Okay, he forces with force. Okay, keep that in mind. He forced her and lie with her. Then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel you shall do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. Whereas when a man rise against his neighbor and slays him, even so is this matter. It's basically saying it's along the same lines as that. Okay, so everyone's good with this portion of it. All right, let's go to the next part. Oh, so betroth. What does the word betroth mean? So here are some words for betroth. Espouse, you have engaged, and then you have where it says what does he desire? In the sense of desiring what? He wants to possess, he has a longing for, right? Longing for, betroth oneself. There's a request. So his request is, I want to be with you. I want to possess you to be one with me. Okay, so everyone with me so far. All right, so we're here. Aras, root word, in the well, not in the Kel form, observed to be a manager of the Hosea chapter 1, but whatever, but went over that part. To erect, to build. And what I mean by that is his desire is to build with her. Okay, that's the hope. All right. 27. But he found her in the field, and betrothed them, cried, and there was none to save her. If a man finds a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, they be found. Okay. Then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. A man shall not lay his father's wife. Okay, we got another one from the man. So here we go. So if it says if a man finds a damsel virgin, and what happens, which is not betrothed, and lays hold, people look at this as saying this is what?
Maybe found.
Huh?
You talking about the whole verse? Or
Just that verse.
Some people say that's rape.
Some people say it's what?
Rape.
It's rape, right? So now verse 27 says, for he found her in the field, and betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her, right? If a man finds a damsel, this is not talking about the same context. That's what I'm getting at. Some people like to rush down like those two work together. That's not what it's talking about here. So I put this to say, if that was the case, everyone remember this story about Dinah, right? She was what? Raped. Now, when you look up the words, you're going to see that there are different Hebrew words. You're going to notice that that word is not the same word for rape as it is in actually Genesis 34, verse 2.
34, 2,
Right. So I put on some highlights for someone to do a study. I want them to study, lay hold on her, lie with her, and they be found. And then look up in Genesis, he took her, laid with her, and defiled her, and compare. Okay, compare, see what you get. All right, a man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirts. Ain't no way. All right, let's keep going. All right, here's bill of divorcement. when a man has taken a wife and married her, and it comes to pass that she finds no favor in his eyes because he has found some uncleanness, okay, in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand, send her out of his house. What does that mean? He found some uncleanness in her.
Something wrong with her.
She crazy, deranged. No.
I usually just like violate one of the law, statutes, and commandments.
Okay. Anyone else?
Evidence he's cheating on us. But he didn't find the man with us.
Okay, but he could always take her to the temple, and she can uncover her head. The spirit of jealousy comes on, and that can happen. What is this uncleanness?
Can I, in one of the books of the Brit Hadashah, the Mashiach is confronted with a woman that had an issue of blood. So she was constantly, I guess in a form of nidah, and the Torah says not to touch her while she's in this state. If she's in a constant state of a nidah, could that be a reason why he would want to write her a bill of divorce?
Censor that. All right, no. So this right here, the uncleanness you're talking about is a woman that's on a natural nidah, but that's not grounds for divorce. He can't give her a bill of divorce because of that. So because this is for a bill of divorcement, you got to figure out there's something about this word that we need to understand. Now, if you see it there, it says what? Or what debar, right? See how this is written in the Hebrew here, right? Everyone sees this here? It's written a whole chapter before that, which is right here in Debariym 23:14. Let's see what it says, and then how do you compare the two? For Yahuah Elohim walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you and to give up your enemies before you. Therefore shall your camp be kadosh or kodesh, that he sees no unclean thing in you.
So she's physically nasty.
Okay? And turns away from you. What is that? Same words.
That's what it's talking about when you use the bathroom. Yeah, you got to take a shovel and everything.
Okay? Same word, right? So if you look up the word, I don't like the Strong's Dictionary's definition here. However, one of them is true, which is if one is naked, meaning she's like prostituting. I'll use today's they show the stripper pole.
She wearing tight clothes.
Yeah, she's
coming
naked. She's exposed. Okay.
Her garments fit real good. Showing all the shape.
Everything you see on Facebook. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, he says this is one part of it. We'll go see some more definitions in just a minute.
Show her legs off.
So it says, and when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. And if the latter husband hates her and writes her a bill of divorcement and gives it in her hand and sends her out of the house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his Isha's wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. After that, she is defiled. Now, I know this may not like that, but you are. Okay? For that is the abomination before Yahuah. You shall not cause the land to sin, which Yahuah Elohim gives you for an inheritance. Okay? All right, so let's look at some other definitions of this word, of uncleanness. So in the etymology, I gave you all the way down from Akkadian to the Hebrew. It gives you all the different stems. So it goes from the meaning of nakedness, female, genital, all this good stuff, right? So from there, you'll see a collection of ones where I highlighted. It says collection of one. Text has noun found in the verb used to parallel with to do what? Go to ruin. Here be translated as to destroy. Okay, we'll see what that means in a minute. To be destroyed. Now, so the next definition says, I'll read just what's highlighted. The expression appears first in 23:15, which we just read. Okay, in the context of regulations governing the purity of the camp, where it is what? excuse me, antithesis to Kodesh or Kadush, if you will, or set apart, commonly called holy. If Yahuah sees any debar or any uncleanness, or unclean matter or unclean thing, he will turn away from the camp. In context of purity ordinances. Okay, here must be what? Interpreted as something offensive. Hence, in 24:1, the phrase must also refer to something offensive, but in a different context. All right. So it says the bar is to be interpreted as anything which the husband found distasteful in his wife other than her adultery. Because adultery is already a law for that. Okay? It's already for law for adultery, it's already a law for fornication. This is something that's unclean. Be it stripping down to nakedness, if you will, being a stripper, all the way up to destroying the home.
She's a poor housekeeper.
Huh?
Constantly tell her, wash the dishes. Why stuff all over the floor? I come home, everything is everywhere. You know, the bathroom's always nasty. When the last time you cleaned the toilet? I don't know what living in here. You can clean the toilet too. I do clean the toilet.
If something happened in your house, you need to pray for it.
I don't want some don't get washed.
The ring around tub so you can think of her. This is me all up in here. This is my DNA on here.
Well, I gotta wash the clothes. Every time I need some clean clothes, I gotta come home and wash the clothes. What's going on?
Yeah.
You home all day long. You know what I'm saying?
So that's what I'm saying. You gotta see something that she starts to bring to ruin. She starts to ruin things. She can ruin your house. She can, whatever she's ruining, destroying, all the way down from something simple as, like I say, being naked, nudity, all the way up to being someone that's destructive. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right. So something that is on the inside that manifests itself on the outside. Something that's on the inside, that's where it starts, and then it manifests itself on the outside.
Okay. She's always flirting with him.
Yeah, talk to her. So I'll give you some Dead Sea Scroll quotes. It says, valor, they shall guard themselves from every unclean thing and from every shameful thing and from every iniquity and guilt. Next one says a foundation of shame and a source of impurity, an oven of impurity and a building of sin, a spirit of error and depravity without. It's another definition. Next one is the same expression is used to describe the council of sinners as a vile disgrace. So if you have this type of person, this is what they're saying you can also give the divorce to, or a bill of divorce. All right, a new wife. When a man has taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war, neither shall he be charged with any business, but he shall be free at home 1 year and shall what? Cheer up his wife, which he has taken. What do you mean cheer up? Make her rejoice. I got it right here. It's in the Hebrew right here. Rejoice. All right. Just so I want y'all to make anything up. All right. 25:5. If brethren dwell together and one of them die and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her and take her to him to wife and perform the duties of the husband's brothers unto her. And it shall be that the firstborn which she bears shall succeed in the name of his brother, which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel. Now, how many have a problem with that? So let me put it together for you. You got a brother, and let's say he's married, has his family. He has a biological brother that dies with no son. He has to now take his wife and go into her. She becomes his, so she can get a seed so that his line could continue on. Is everyone with me so far? So this is what it's not saying. Or I don't want them to use this to say, you're on, let's say, Facebook, Instagram, and the sister is mourning. She says, and she may look really nice, and she's mourning. Oh, my Ish died. Man, we have no kids. And there's a brother on Instagram. Wait a minute. Kashomer. Akianoki. Am I my brother's keeper? I would love to give you, he's my brother. No, that's not what that's talking about. All right. So you can't just randomly find someone. Oh, you need a son. Oh, you need a son. Oh, you need a son too. I'm your brother. That's not what that's talking about. Biological brother. So I'm just want everyone to understand that just in case you have one of those little scenarios. Okay, is everyone good? All right. Being a soldier, we're about to wrap this up here. It says, in the Parsha, it opened up about when you go out to war, certain things you should do and not do. It goes on to talk about sexual immoralities, mixing the seeds, a lot of instructions that we can find in the 10 words. The whole purpose of this Parsha is to learn how to be a soldier. It will define how you will be as an individual. Soldiering starts on the inside. A lot of us do not know what we are fighting or who we are fighting. Most of us are fighting each other. Instead of dealing with the real enemy, we make ourselves and our brethren the enemy. Okay, so you become Satan's soldier, just so we're clear. You start to do his job. You are the biggest tool to the adversary, or that the adversary has. If you can bring yourself under control, the enemy has nothing to work with. Okay, if you can do that. Question is, are you giving the adversary work? Are you giving information and secrets to the adversary? You could be giving information to the enemy to help come against yourself or you. Okay? Keep that in mind. Gifts versus, we're not going to talk about this. I said we will not have time to go into what I believe most people need to learn. In your spare time, study to learn what is the difference between fruit of the Spirit and the gift of the Spirit. Okay? They're not the same. However, hint, gift does not necessarily mean mature or maturity. Something given to help you or others, something to bless you or others. A person can have difficulty handling or understanding it. However, fruit means maturity, having relationship, having experience, something that you produce. Okay? Gift usually does not come out in war or battle. Fruit, however, can, just depending on what fruit you use. Most people will believe they are operating under faith, not understanding what faith really is. That's what I said. This is a whole study that people they're missing to understand. I'm operating in the fruits of the Spirit. Oh, I got the gift. They're not the same thing. Okay? So again, there'll be something to talk about. So I gave an example. I have patience. That's a gift, right? Because I have walked through the fire. That's my fruit. I can mature from something like that. So I'm saying when we walk out each gift, you're going to see between a gift and a fruit and how that works, if you guys want to do that study. All right. So we have the tools to become good soldiers. Okay. Take back what the enemy has stolen from you. Yes, Shialot. Any questions? No questions? We are good to go. Hallelujah. I think it's too long. They just want to just close it.
So, Moreh, so what is the brother gonna go left or right?
Huh? Who?
What he's gonna proceed?
He's looking. He wants to know which way to go.
Okay.
He don't know which way to go. He got questions. But again, the whole point of the lesson really is to promote thought, to promote questions, to think about, are we really? Because when I say soldiering, for an example, if somebody's stating that we are in the Father's army, if you will, right? But how could we be a good soldier to the Father or be anything if our struggles within ourselves is struggling against His word? And then if you're not struggling against His word, you're struggling against one another. So we got all these struggles. We haven't even got to the adversary yet. So he's like, oh, you're working for me. Let me sit back. Go ahead. That's right. No, he shouldn't have looked at you that way. Oh, she looking at your man. Look. Can't believe it. Yes, she is. Now, you know, they start to create problems. You know what I mean? Go to that person. Don't assume. Stop the assumption game. Because when you start assuming something, then you start believing your assumption, and then you promote that to somebody else, and they start believing the same thing, and you come to find out later on that wasn't even the truth. That's what I'm saying. Go figure out what's going on. Okay?
Yeah, before you going back to you're at war, captive wives.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come into the knowledge of the truth, the walk, all of a sudden, the husband wakes up. He's beginning to understand who he is, understand the Father's word, and he's trying to express this to his Asha, who does not want to give up her Christmas, her Easter, her New Year's celebration, 4th of July with the family, barbecue, fireworks, and so forth. Then she becomes combative in the home. Vice versa, could be same thing. But most of the time I've seen it is the opposite. How is that applied in that situation where you got this person now who you're taking captive, bringing into Torah, trying to change your lifestyle, change your household, but she just doesn't want to come?
All right, so outside of maybe people using, let's say, Corinthians chapter 7, right? 1 Corinthians chapter 7, with the believer and unbeliever, things like that. If we just, let's say we're sticking with the Tanakh. If a brother wakes up and wants to wake his Isha up, and he realized, and the reason why he's waking up is because he's not realizing who he is, son of Elohim, and things like that, right? Same principle happens in Nehemiah Ezra time period. Ezra chapter 10 talks about put away the strange wives. He winds up putting her away because now he says that the scriptures is telling him that you're not supposed to have these people. So if she doesn't want to follow, then this is what option he has, at least according to Ezra. He says that's what the Torah states, that if she, they put away these strange wives, and what makes her strange, we went over that last week or week before. So there's things that make her strange. And if that's the case and she refuses, she's combative and all sex other stuff, then sure, that's what he's talking about. But if they, you know, if she's waking up, maybe slowly waking up, maybe not as fast as he would like, he needs to exercise patience. But if she just utterly, I got to have a Christmas tree in here. I'm going to put some Easter eggs. I might have an egg underneath your pillow when you wake up. Whatever it is. You know, the point is, at that point, she's just that, then sure. Because you don't want to be mixing mighty ones in the home. That's what you're essentially doing. The Father says, don't learn the ways of those. And then you're actually having this in the house.
Okay, first one, can a woman put away a husband that has been not absorbed?
Okay, so yeah, we get that a lot actually. Should she just stay in the abusive relationship or should she leave? I say she should leave for sure. I do suggest that when she leaves, and let me preface it with a couple of things first. One is there's a difference between someone that's in the walk and not in the walk. Meaning there are some people that are in the walk. First, I'll start with not in the walk. Not in the walk, but you're trying to force this person into the walk and want them to comply with certain rules and regulations that, as far as they're concerned, it's not happening, right? That person, clean house, have a good day, see you, right? So in that instance, I'm simply stating that you can't apply the law to someone that's not operating in the law. You can't have someone that's in the streets and you say you found the walk, be it male or female, you're in the walk, the guy or the sister is not in the walk, and they're out in the streets and doing drugs or whatever they're doing, and think that, you know, well, we're just going to have a great life together, and that's not going to happen. Now let's talk about someone that's in the walk. Yeah, they do. So, you know, and then, but I still would advise, you know, have them write something. You know, listen, we're no longer together. We're going two separate paths, X, Y, and Z. He can still write a bill of divorce, send her out the house. Literally, can do that. Now, nowadays, the women realistically got the houses, and the brothers moving into the sister's house. But anyway, that'd be another topic. The other thing is, you have those that are in the walk. If they're in the walk going through something like that, they should have accountability. Bring it to the elder. A lot of people don't want accountability. Terrible. But according to scripture, you have to have accountability, one to another. So if you say, hey man, he keeps going upside my head. Every time I wake up, it's a whole new month. It's time to talk. Okay, that stuff is real. A lot of people get into that in that way. Now it comes to the point of what people define as abuse. How they chastise people in their home. That'd be a whole nother topic. But my whole simply point for that person that is asking that question is if it's the woman being in the walk and the man is not in the walk, you can't expect that that man to say, I'm going to conform to a belief that I don't believe in. It's not going to happen at all. So can she leave? And everyone is called to be peace if you're going to use Corinthians. However, side of that, I'll be out on my way out the door. I would never tell someone to stay in an abusive relationship. Never.
If it's an abusive relationship.
Well, they said abuse.
If it's an abusive relationship. Because if it's not an abusive relationship, a lot of times that man, in his mind, she's his everything.
Yeah.
And he's going to treat her well. And she can win him over with her lifestyle. She's seeing what she does. That's what it teaches.
Right. If, but her statement realistically is they're in an abusive relationship. So if they're in it, every time I wake up in the morning, he got a BB gun at my head. He's hit me in the head. It's just time to go. Starts off with a BB gun. That thing might graduate something else. So I mean, it's time to go. Your life is at stake. You'll never tell someone to stay in something crazy like that. And then you should want to treat your Isha, and your Isha want to treat her Ish in a way that is righteous.
Okay. Well, one of the sad things that we've been finding in the walk, or in this, as we know, you have a lot of our so-called Hebrew men who are that don't know how, are very abusive towards their women.
Well, they gotta want help. Yeah. They gotta want help. They gotta want correction. Everybody, from the top to the bottom, can receive correction. But if you don't want correction, you got a problem already.
So in a situation like that where a woman is in a relationship and the man is abusing her and he doesn't want correction, how could the elders, we're talking about somebody in the walk, how could the elders realistically be able to get her out and everything else?
Well, if we were in the land, or are you talking about land?
In the land.
Okay. Because in the land, he'd be chastised, he got some 40 lashes. We got some stuff waiting for you. Here, no, she can seek asylum.
Okay.
You know what I mean? She can do that. She can, you know, a brother take her in, and if the other brother, well, you got my shot, brother. Listen, can't be putting bruises on her and swelling her eyes shut and think this is love. Well, you don't know what she did. It's not enough to put abuse.
Right.
You see what I mean? So I say that there's levels of that. Some people say, hey, listen, I may not do that, but let's just say I may get a belt. What? Well, you know, sometimes they may grab them. You know, not necessarily, you know, put marks. Some people go to the point of choking them. I've seen a lot of stuff that they say, hey, this is fine. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things going on versus dealing with the underlying issue. In other words, why did you need to do that? A. B, sis or brother, why are you even doing this? In other words, get to the root of the issue. And this other stuff should start to go away, those that are in the walk. But they need help, they literally need help.
Yeah. Abuse goes both ways. A lot of times.
Yeah.
Okay. You have something?
Moreh, I got something.
You too slow out. Okay.
With so the Debariym 22:28, when it talks about if a man lies with a woman, he has to pretty much pay the dowry. Does that apply if you weren't in the truth at the time?
No. That's what I said. This is only for those that are in the truth. You know, if people that before this time, the law wasn't talking to those people. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we've done that is a total violation of the law. And then when we came into law, we don't go back and say, well, let me redo this and say this is what it is. That's what I'm saying. It's once you come in and you say I agree to the covenant, that's when your new life, if you will, begins.
Okay, so
So what if someone takes someone in, they are not following the Torah, but that meant to follow the covenant?
You taking somebody in that's not following Torah?
Male or female?
Okay. And why would you be taking her in? Okay. I mean, because we can't
They
take.
were homeless. They were homeless.
Okay. The best I would do for someone that's not in the walk, you don't know. The best a person can do is try to help that person in a way that, let's just say, if I saw someone that's homeless or something like that, and I put them up in a hotel, I'm not going to take them to my house because my house is governed a certain way. So you'll be essentially forcing that person into doing your ways. But if you want to help, you can help out with some shekels or a place where they can help them, and then try to share the word with that person. Sure, but to just because they're homeless, I'm instantly going to take them in the house. That wouldn't be a wise thing to do. All right.
Last question is, what if the husband is slower in the walk than?
Okay. So the Isha actually has a lot more wisdom than the Ish. Has more knowledge than the Ish. Okay. So in essence, what about that? Like,
What should be done in that situation?
well, I would say that she could technically have her, if she would like, say, listen, you know, I would love to put you in contact with certain brothers or elders or teachers that can teach you, you know, these things. There's nothing wrong with him having a lesson or them having some form of communication with one another, having studies together. I'm not saying anything is wrong with any of those things, but I'm saying at some point, if she's because I don't know if the guy's condition is I can't learn from a woman. I don't know the condition is he doesn't want to hear her. I don't know what any of the ramifications behind it. I'm simply stating that if he's in the walk or desires to grow in the walk, the best thing that I would tell any sister that has a brother like that is link them up with the brethren. They have no problem with fellowshipping and teaching things like that. And it doesn't mean that she's handicapped. You know what I mean? I don't want her to think that, oh, okay, well, I can't do nothing. She still continue on growing herself and may have more wisdom and be able to help out in all kinds of ways and things like that. That's still great, you know, but she still would want or should want her Ish to still be linked up to brethren as well. Well, I mean, you know, the sister that's been in it a lot longer, she knows or may know some decent brothers that they can rely on. Okay. So, and then you got some that, you know, are little snakes in the grass that might see something a little different. You know, so that's what I'm saying. But, you know, she has the Father's spirit. The Father put out His spirit upon her, so to speak. And she's been growing in it. He's just not coming in, or he's slow about coming into it. You know, he may, I don't know if there's any apprehension between them two. That's, I don't know any of the ramifications behind it. So my simple answer would be is that, hey, well, okay, well, let me share with you some good brothers that they're teaching that I know to be true, X, Y, and Z. Here you go. And they can talk and communicate. But that's just a broad stroke of whatever that question might be. You got it? You ready, Akeem? What you got? You need a microphone. You gonna rap or you gonna just say it? It's on.
Are we on?
Yeah. You guys got soft hands, Akeem.
I got two questions.
Uh-huh.
Dealing with Genesis chapter 34 about Danae, if I'm explaining her name right. When she had intimacy with the ham, like, was she defiled? That was my first question. And my other question is dealing with Leviticus chapter 22, verses 12 and 13. I'll read them out.
Okay, so first question you said was what now? Yeah, she was. Uh-huh.
All right, so again, Leviticus chapter 22, verse 12 and 13, it says, if a priest's daughters also be married into a stranger, she may not eat of an offering of the set apart things. Verse 13. But if the priest's daughters be a widow or divorced and have no child and is returned unto her father's house. Let me read that over. But if a priest's daughters be a widow or divorced and have no child and is returned unto her father's house, as in her youth, she shall eat of her father's meat, but there shall no stranger eat thereof. So my question is, why can the priest's daughters eat of the set apart things?
But remember, the Levites are set apart all the way. So you can't have them been partaking of something that's set apart to just the father.
She wanted to be a stranger.
And yeah,
she
part
married
two.
a stranger. If she had had a baby by that stranger, the child's technically becomes a stranger.
Right.
So that's why I tell you, if she doesn't have any children, she can come back to her father's house as before, because no stranger can eat of the set apart things. She couldn't bring a child back into the house, bring him back home, and that's his child. My husband is dead now. Forced me, you don't have nowhere else to go. Child couldn't give the food because everything the priest gets
It's set apart.
is set apart to Yahuah.
To the Levites, which is set apart to Yahuah. So if she marries a stranger, and the stranger can't go anywhere near inside the tabernacle or anything. So and technically, if she did have children, but like you said, remember, it's based off of the seed. So if the man is the stranger and goes into the Hebrew woman, that seed is being named after that stranger. And so, but however, in what you're just reading, in layman's terms is, as long as she didn't go into that stranger or X, Y, and Z, she can go back to her father's house. Should have no problem, no children, no nothing, because she's still set apart. The Levites are set apart for just the father. So you got to understand what the purpose of the Levites is first in the first place. Remember, they had no inheritance, so the father made them, instead of the firstborn, he made them technically over Israel to do the things inside the tabernacle. So if we know that the father is set apart, he made the Levites set apart to himself, that means you can't have no stranger.
In that situation, wouldn't all the other tribes be considered strangers as well?
Right. In other words, it talks later on about like the marrying Levites into the Levites, so to speak. You know, that's what they have to do. They have to stay Levite.
Fell in love with someone.
Keep that lineage.
Yeah, she go to Judah, then she, all right, well, you know, that's where you are.
Back to someone else.
Yeah, we have to talk about how that works. Specifically, there's an example that in Ezra.
That's true.
Other than that, she's having children. She's still like what she was with her father. She's no children. Come back in.
Wouldn't it be complicated for a Levite daughter to even marry, especially you have to do the whole, what do you call it, private meetings with the families, the mishpachas, concerning marriage? Wouldn't it be difficult anyways?
Well, a Levite, so the question is, would it be difficult for a Levite woman to get married?
To another tribe.
Right.
Yeah,
Right, yeah, they wouldn't do that. That's
Yeah,
not
they
something that
wouldn't
they
do
would do anyway.
Of course.
Unless she get enticed
Well,
out in the field.
well, you know, he may go out there and then it'd be known. But if it don't be known, but you're simply saying, but he's talking about and the family and getting all the family
Right,
involved. Is what he's saying. So I'm saying they would say no, it's not happening.
Yeah, of course.
And secret love affair.
Mm-hmm.
Boy.
You got to love him, because I love him. Yeah, gotcha. All right, any other questions? All right, hallelujah. All right, if our hearts and minds think we're standing closed, we'll close. All right, we'll have Gadar close us out if you don't mind.
More compare the third part for you, third part brother Sherrod. Our will, Father. Speedy recovery, bring him back to the Knesset. We just bring him back to the Knesset and just let him know he's missed. Now we just ask, Father, man, you bless the food that we're about to eat, that we nourish our body. Bless the fellowship. We desire your presence in the midst of your people. Yahuah Mashiach's name we pray. Amen.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.